Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with Sam Jones. Sam, good to be speaking to you in Manchester ahead of Jack Catterall versus Arnold Barboza Jr. Before we get to that, though, I was watching an Eddie Hearn interview recently with Ariel Helwani. Gave you a little bit of a shout out. He said you got the promoter on the rise. Maybe Eddie Hearn's got to look over his shoulders. I just wonder how much do you have to slide Ariel's way to get that little shout out?
Are you gonna hold it? No, it was. I'm a big fan of this show. I watch all of Ariel's work. So yeah, for him to give me those type of compliments is brilliant. To be honest with you, I mean, Addy. It was a show with Addy, and Addy called me the best manager in boxing, which I agree with. No, it's really humbling, and I appreciate the comments.
You know, in terms of Catterall's career, of course, he's on the trajectory since the win over Josh Taylor. Barboza, I think Eddie Hearn suggested this was a fight for that super lightweight supremacy. Do you feel that Jack Catterall's got to raise his game to get rid of Barboza, or do you feel that it's a style made for him?
I'll be honest with you, it depends how Barboza approaches the fight. Like what I've said there, I've just done a couple of interviews there. If Barboza comes to fight Jack, it's going to be a brilliant fight. And I do think Jack will stop him. But if Barboza tries to nick rounds, and it could be a slow burner, but then I think the fight will eventually catch fire anyway. But I think it'll be a slow burner. But if he wants to play chess with Jack, he's pissing into the wind, because I think Jack will play chess and beat him all day long. But if he comes to fight him, it's going to be brilliant.
It was an absolutely top-notch level promotion video made by the Matchroom team. I don't know whose idea it was, but it was executed very well. And you had a little cameo there yourself too, with a reference from the past. But look, the moniker being boring, and Jack is looking for, I guess, someone who really watches boxing. They understand the moves he's making. But does Jack need to deliver a few knockouts on the record when it comes to keeping his name in people's mouths?
Not comparing him to Floyd Mayweather, because I'm just not doing that. But Floyd never used to really stop fighters. He was a very sharp puncher. Jack's a sharp puncher. Jack's a very strong puncher. He hurts everyone he gets in the ring with. Yeah, of course, Jack would like to stop people, but ultimately he's not going to risk losing to stop people. I mean, if it comes, it comes. But Jack feels that he can stop Barboza, and I think that, like I say, if Barboza comes to fight Jack on Saturday, I think Jack will stop him.
What's your expectation that should Jack Catterall get through this weekend, that he would be facing Teofimo Lopez?
I know this sounds ridiculous, but I'm only looking at this fight. Like I've got plans of what I'm thinking about, and of course you look at the Teofimo Lopez and think that's the fight to make. But I don't think Tia will do that. I think Tia will move to 147.
You're obviously busy with other fighters in action on this card as well too, in Tusbury and Middlebus. Just talk to me a little bit about those two fighters and the expectations for their year in 2025.
Yeah, Alfie Middlebus, he's already had a professional fight. He boxed in Liverpool. I think it was in December. He's looking to build on this now. A big night for him. And then Connor Tusbury, amazing amateur coming from the GB squad. Big, ferocious puncher. So he's going to make his professional debut on Saturday night.
Never begrudge anyone winning an award at all, and Spider Summerman did win the award, but Matchroom Boxing Prospect of the Year, Hamza Uddin must feel a little bit like it was his award to win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, I don't begrudge anybody like winning. Hamza Uddin won the British Boxing Board of Control Young Prospect of the Year, but look, Cameron Vong, look at his... I don't really consider him a prospect anymore, but look who... I know he had a difficult fight with Gavin Gwen, but look who he's boxed. Giorgio Vizioli, Cameron Vong, Giorgio Vizioli, Spider, Hamza Uddin. I don't want to miss anybody else off there. So if I have, I really apologise. But look at those fighters there. Top tier prospects, matching with some brilliant young fighters. So no, definitely not. Like I like Spider. I like watching his fights. I think that he could do with a step up in his next fight, because he's dispatching of people very, very easily. So be interesting to see when he goes through the levels. But he's doing everything right, and you can't begrudge him of anything right now. But yeah, I'm pleased he won. Well done.
Big talking point, which was discussed in the previous interviews, and that being Johnny Fisher's next step. I didn't know that Eddie Hearn had said that potentially it might not be Dave Allen. In an ideal world, though, would Johnny Fisher have won before Dave Allen?
Genuinely, that's not down to me. It's not down to me. It'd be down to Johnny. But as a fan, if you're asking me as a fan, I would like to see Johnny fight Dave Allen next, and I would like to see Dave fight Johnny next. I think when the fights like that, there was a fight like that. Listen, controversial ending, but it was amazing. Like listen, the fact Johnny finished the fight on his feet was unbelievable. Never mind win the fight, or if what everybody thinks of the fight, Johnny did unbelievable to stay on his feet. So yeah, as a fan, I would like to see the fight next.
Yeah, just touching on that, as as someone who's looking after fighters, in the heavyweight game, you never truly know who's destined for the top until really that they get there. But ticking off the box of being able to get up, have that adversity and answer it, is that like something that you look at like, look, this is a guy I can still back. Sure, there might have been a blip and look, he didn't lose that fight, but this is someone that I can still heavily back.
No, look, when it comes to Johnny, there was the expectation of him. He has a lot more expectation because of the amount of tickets he sells. He's a freak of nature. The ticket sales that he does, the fact that his dad's a TikTok star, they're famous. Like what I said there, no matter what anybody thinks, they're famous outside of boxing. So Johnny has a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and the fact that he had no amateur background. So really, it was like, could Johnny win an English title? Could Johnny win a Southern Air title? Tick. Could he win an English title? Oof, we don't know. Like, there's no expectation. Like, but after coming off a fight like that, he's got a great coach. They will dissect it and they'll think, okay, this is how we'll do the fight. Because the first 4 rounds, Johnny won easy. Then Dave obviously got the knockdown in round 5. And I mean, again, I've been asked so many times, and I'm just being honest, I thought Dave Allen won the fight by a point. But it was not a one-sided fight, really. It was a fight of 2 halves. So it'll be interesting to see who can make the adjustments in the rematch. But for sure, it's a massive fight.
Have you heard there's whispers of Leighton Orient ground for the rematch?
Yeah, could be. I mean, I don't know. It's a question you need to ask Johnny and Eddie for that. It really is. So I think that wherever the fight takes place, there'll be huge interest.
On the other end of the scale, Dillian Whyte takes on Joe Joyce. A lot of conversation surrounding Joe, but just your thoughts on that fight and whether Joe can come out with a victory.
Again, it's difficult to me to talk about Joe Joyce because I love Joe, right? Joe's someone I've travelled the world with, and the Joe I was around is like, it was some of the best times of my life. His last 2 performances or 3 performances have not been the Joe I knew, if that makes sense. All I want, and I mean this when I say this, I just want Joe to be healthy, happy, and financially secure. That's all I care about. When it comes to fight, I don't know. It depends who's got what left, isn't it, in the fight? But Joe's my guy, and I hope to God he wins.
Obviously, working with Adam Morley, with Johnny Fisher, does the conversation come with or veer towards Joe Joyce, considering that you worked with him before?
I don't speak to Adam about Joe. It isn't my business. I speak to Joe direct. I'll have a chat with him here and there, and I've given my thoughts. But ultimately, Joe's a 39-year-old man. He will make his own decisions, and Adam's his manager, and I respect that. It isn't my call. Does that make sense? But like, I've given my opinion.
Does Otto Wallin's defeat to Derek Chisora make Joe Joyce's loss to Chisora a bit softer?
No, not really. Like I say, it's difficult for me to talk about Joe because I just feel like I don't know. I don't know. It's difficult, Eamon. It really is. It's difficult. But look, I wish Joe all the best. I just want him to be healthy and happy.
Okay, sure, Sam. Before I close off, I just want to ask you, look, now Frank Warren has made the move to DAZN. Promoters are working together. I wonder what you mean. What do you think that means for making fights for your fighters, for fans, what they're going to expect as well too? What do you think is going to happen with that relationship as it develops over the years?
I think it's great. Like all under one roof, it makes the fights a lot easier to happen because you'll have the broadcast that's going to back the fights. So I think the relationship was in a good place anyway, but now it's going to be even better. But hopefully there's still healthy competition because ultimately, like, Queensborough are still a separate business to Matchroom. They're not 2 businesses. So it's going to be good. Healthy competition under the same roof. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. If you're a DAZN subscriber, you've had it right off, haven't you?
And Sam, final thing, I think it's a great place to leave it. You left it on the last interview with IFL's Andrew McCart, just British Boxing Hall of Famer, trainer Joe Gallagher has put out there that he's got stage 4 cancer. Just your reaction to that news.
Look, I've said it in 2 interviews there. With health is the most important thing in life, right? And every cancer has affected pretty much everyone, whether it's someone in your family or your friend, I don't know, but in my family it affected my granddad. It ultimately claimed his life because my granddad got prostate cancer and he didn't react to the symptoms quick enough, if that makes sense, which lowered his time, and eventually caught up with him, and it took his life. It's the worst disease in the world, cancer, right? It's the worst disease in the world. And when you see that, whether you've had good interactions with Joe, bad interactions with Joe, Joe's a brilliant trainer, one of the best trainers ever in British boxing. And all you can say is you wish him absolutely the absolute best, and you hope he can fight off that evil disease, and you wish him all the best. And Georgia O'Connor as well, I want to bring her up. I've said it a few times now, early 20s, way too young. She's got a rare form of cancer and she's in for the battle of her life as well. She's got a GoFundMe page, so if you can't donate anything, not a problem, go onto a page and just share the page and just spread awareness, because the more awareness it is, the more chances that she can get some treatments, whatever she needs to help her, give her that 1% extra chance of beating this fucking shit disease that nobody should have. There should be a fucking cure for cancer nowadays, but it's just the worst disease in the world. But yeah, big prayers to Joe and to Georgia, and I wish them both the best in their fight against cancer.
Very well said, Sam. Great place to leave it. Looking forward to the fights this weekend. Thanks for being Seconds Out.